Hello, my name is Jandri and I'm going to be doing section number 9. Section number 9 will cover items from the task list B3. Assess with individualized assessment procedures. For example, curriculum-based, developmental, or social skills assessments. The goals of these sections are: number 1, to describe best practices for designing and delivering services. Number 2, to describe different types of assessments, including norm, reference, criterion reference, and curriculum measurement. Number 3, to discuss the concept of balanced measures and individualized programs. Number 4, to discuss the role of the registered behavior technician during the assessment process. And last, to discuss the importance of progress monitoring and verification. As an RBT, you will assist with individualized assessment procedures. And why is this important? In order to identify the function of a behavior, to create behavior plans, or for medical purposes. An assessment must be done to back up or justify the development and implementation of an intervention. And why is this individualized? Just like fingerprint, autism for every child is unique. While there may be some overlap in behaviors, a program developed for one child would not be 100% for another client. Fortunately, we have tools that can assist in the development of an intervention. Let's review some assessment procedures. Direct observations. This could be done in several different settings, such as the child's home, school, or any place that concerns the parents. During a direct observation, the observer does not interfere unless there is an emergency. For example, the child is in danger or is putting someone else in danger. The purpose of a direct observation is to see the behavior at its natural occurrence. If the child has already met the observer, the presence of the observer can alter behavior. In this scenario, asking someone else to do the observation can be an option. Checklists can be given to anyone that interacts with the child, such as the teacher, the coach, therapist, parents. Interview. It's an effective method to ask pertinent questions about the child and to gather information and important details that family may not include in a written form. Standardized test. Any form of test that, number 1, requires all test takers to answer the same questions or a selection of questions from a common bank of questions in the same way. And that, number 2, it's a score in a standard and consistent manner, which makes it possible to compare to the relative performance of individual students or groups of students. While different types of tests and assessments may be standardized in this way, the term is primarily associated with large-scale tests administered to a large population of students, such as multiple choice tests given to all the 8th grade public school students in a particular state, for example. Ecological assessment. An ecological assessment is a comprehensive process in which data is collected about how a child functions in different environments or settings. Sometimes students eligible for special education perform or behave well in some environments but have difficulty in others. ABLS. Assessment of Basic Language and Learning Skills Revised allows administrators to identify deficits in language, academic, self-help, and motor skills, and then implement and monitor individualized intervention. VB-MAP, the Verbal Behavior Milestone Assessment and Placement Program, is an assessment and skill tracking system to assess the language, learning, and social skills of children with autism and other developmental disabilities. RAISD, Reinforcer Assessment for Individuals with Severe Disabilities, is one example of a survey that can be used for a structured informational interview. The survey asks about a variety of potential preferences and the conditions under which a child makes his or her choices. FAST. That stands for Functional Analysis Screening Tool. The FAST identifies factors that may influence problem behavior. Use it only for screening as part of a comprehensive functional analysis of the behavior. Administer the FAST to several individuals who interact with the client frequently. Then use the results to guide direct observation in several different situations to verify suspected behavioral functions and to identify other factors that may influence the problem behavior. Practices for designing and delivering services. ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis, and it should be reminded that it's a term or an acronym to describe the science of what we do. However, it is not a practice. Discrete trial training. An applicable three-part teaching and behavioral sequence used to accelerate learning. Discrete trial instruction clarifies instructions, contingencies for behavior, and data collection. The discrete trial is happening all around us all the time. Early intensive behavioral intervention. This form of ABA is designed for young children, usually under age 5. Most of our clients have had this form of intervention prior to studying with us here at the center. Pivotal response training. The focus here is on important areas of child's development, like self-management and taking charge in social situations. Some areas include, number 1, motivation, number 2, response to multiple cues, number 3, self-management, number 4, initiation of social interactions. Motivation strategies are important part of the PRT approach. These emphasize natural reinforcement. For example, if a child makes a meaningful attempt to request a stuffed animal, the reward is the stuffed animal, not a candy or other unrelated reward. Children are rewarded for making a good attempt, even if it is not perfect. Verbal behavior intervention. Improving a child's verbal skills is the goal. The verbal operants. The following 4 verbal operants are the most commonly used in our programming. Mend, to give, request. Tact, identify or provide an expressive response. To label. Interverbal, to be able to communicate without any direct or indirect prompt. And echoic, able to imitate. Describe the different types of assessments. Norm reference, criterion reference, curriculum measurement. Norm reference. Norm reference developmental assessments provide information about how your child is developing in all areas compared to peers his or her own age. Developmental assessments measure cognition, communication, motor, adaptive, and social skills. Some developmental assessments may be only completed by a licensed psychologist. However, other developmental skills may be implemented by anyone with advanced training in assessment. Criterion reference assessments. Criterion reference assessments provide information about skills that are in your child's repertoire. Criterion reference assessments are not designed to diagnose or to measure delay, but rather to determine what skills your child is able to perform, as well as what skill your child should learn next. Criterion reference assessments may be completed by anyone with advanced training in assessment. Additionally, criterion reference assessments are excellent to use for program development. Curriculum measurement. Think back to when you were a student in elementary school. You probably remember having tests every few weeks after you completed a unit in math, reading, science, or social studies. This test will determine how successfully you learn the material from those units, and your score will go home to your parents. Then, all of these scores will be averaged, and you will receive a report card. These kinds of tests can be useful for capping off a unit, but they fall short in showing changes in students' progress. This is where curriculum-based assessment, also known as curriculum-based measurement, comes into play. CBM is a repeated direct assessment of target skills in basic areas such as math, reading, writing, and spelling, using materials taken directly from the teaching curriculum. Concept of balanced measures and individualized programs. There are two basic functions of behavior: to get or to get out. Everything can ultimately be categorized into one of the two. Primary functions include the following: sensory, escape or avoidance, access to a tangible, or attention. To get, in the form of positive reinforcement, increases behaviors that serve to access desirable stimuli, such as attention, money, food, drugs. Sensory, behaviors that result from automatic reinforcement. These behaviors typically occur in the absence of another person. These behaviors are self-maintaining. To get out, negative reinforcement increases behaviors that serve to reduce, avoid, or escape adverse stimuli. These behaviors usually are in the form of aggression, self-injury, and/or non-responsiveness. And sensory, engaging in self-stimulatory behavior to avoid working. Some parenting skills index include keys to interactive parenting skills, family assessment interview, family adaptability and cohesion evaluation skills, family environment skill. The role of the RBT. The RBT is primarily responsible for the direct implementation of behavior analytic services. The RBT does not design intervention or assessment plans. As an RBT, you must follow recommendations provided by your BCBA. Some of these recommendations may include making detailed behavioral entries by keeping track of any form of inappropriate behavior, the duration of those behaviors, and frequency of the behaviors. Progress monitoring and verification is important to ensure the success of the client. The main goal of the science of ABA and our specific form of treatment is to ensure the client's success at whatever level they may be at. It is also important for justification of the treatment. Here at the Lovaas Center, we use evidence-based interventions so our treatment can be justified through data. It is also important so we can report to the funding source. Funding sources such as health insurance require data to compare and contrast and to decide the number of hours approved or the continuation of services.